Just a quick wrap up of last week or 2 weeks ago. I thought I do think as a football team we continue to find a lot of fight and find ways to win football games when it matters most. I thought defensively we had some very timely takeaways. The pick six early in the game, obviously, and then finding a way to take the ball away the last drive of the game, giving our offense an opportunity to score. We also had 6 3-and-outs in the game that were really critical as well. Still some explosive plays that we've got to continue to find ways to eliminate. And we gave up an explosive play for a touchdown, which is something that is uncharacteristic, but certainly unacceptable in that regard. So. Those are areas that we keep working and fighting. As we moved into a bye week last week, I think you're able to evaluate yourself and look at some of the things that you're doing well, some of the things that you've got to continue to improve upon, and then even from a fundamental standpoint, areas that you can get better. I talk to the guys about this all the time. Good football teams get better. Good football players get better as the season goes on, and if you don't, you're giving somebody else an opportunity to bridge the gap. And so I think we're doing a good job in that regard. I thought our players handled the bye week with maturity. I thought they had a sense of urgency, and then had some much needed and much earned time away as well, which is important. And obviously they got to get away a little bit. Had Halloween going on, all that stuff. Guys got to do all that stuff as families. We got a chance to do those things as well, which watching the trick-or-treating and people go crazy for a candy bar really concerns me about the moral fiber of our country moving forward. But back to work, so I don't have to worry about those things. I don't look at the news, I don't look at anything. So that was the only chance I got to see the outside world, and it wasn't pretty. So anyway, that being said, looking ahead to LSU, this is a very dangerous football team. They are as explosive as we have seen. This is as talented of an offensive skill group that we have seen, with a very experienced quarterback. I think you watch Garrett, where he was a year ago to the decisions that he's making now. He does a better job of making throws under duress. He does a better job of taking care of the football. He's got some real toughness and moxie to making critical throws, even when it's not a clean pocket. You look at their tight end; he's probably a top 10 pick in the NFL. I mean, he's a truly elite football player. You look at their receiving core; there's just multiple players that a 5-yard hitch route can go for 50 yards and a touchdown. And so those are things that we've got to be mindful of. I think their offensive line is taking steps and strides in the right direction. They're young, but they're physical. I think they're more physical than where they were a year ago as an offensive line. Their running backs are very dynamic. All of them are track style players, run whatever their high school times, and you look at some of the GPS numbers that they've had. And so this, like any great Alabama-LSU matchup, will be a tremendous challenge for us, and one that our players seem to have a great sense of urgency for. I thought we had a great Sunday practice yesterday. Guys came in the way you would want them coming in after a couple of days on a bye week. So very, very much looking forward to the week ahead, and looking forward to putting a great product on the field in Bryant-Denny on Saturday.
All right, thanks, Coach. Let's start with Chase on the far left.
Can you speak to the difference in the run defense with Tim Keenan on the field versus Keenan off the field?
Well, I think Tim is such a physical presence in that those A gaps and some of the things that we're able to do with him from a zero nose standpoint, where he's head up to the center. We've got a few different fronts that we operate where he's playing a zero nose. Anytime that you can two gap and create some havoc, and then some of the blocking schemes and the way people have to block versus a zero nose versus a shade. He can be influential in 4-down looks, absolutely. But some of the things that he's doing, up front when we show a zero nose as well is just very disruptive. And so those are things that, great to watch and see the strides that he's taking right now and the steps that he's taken. Him and Deontay Lawson were our power players of the week last week. Both those guys have overcome adversity and injury, and I think are moving in a trajectory right now where they're playing their best football.
We got 2 questions on the right. Let's start with Nick, and then we'll go to Charlie.
New play call for them, Alex Atkins. What do you know about him as an OC, and what are you expecting from the offense with him calling plays?
Yeah, Alex, I've known Alex for a long time. Alex was at UT Martin under Jason Simpson, Ty's dad, right before I was there at UT Martin, and he's had a great career. Very well-respected offensive line coach and an offensive mind. You look at some of the things that they have done over the years in the run game, and been very balanced offensively where he's been as well. So, obviously to have in a situation like they're in right now, to have someone that they can go to like Alex is a great luxury for them. I think, when you look at it, you're trying to anticipate what we might see slightly different from what they're doing. Everybody has an identity, and everybody really shapes that identity around what their players are doing well in that given point in the season. But most certainly you have to anticipate and expect for there to be some wrinkles, and some of them will try to anticipate and work. Others will see what shows up on Saturday and will adjust. That's what good defensive staffs do.
Charlie, go ahead.
In a similar vein, I think you're also familiar with Frank Wilson, their interim coach.
Yeah.
What do you know about him, and what do you maybe expect from a team led by him going into Saturday?
Yeah, Frank was my position coach in college, I love Frank. I mean, he was a very influential, impactful coach. I think he's very intentional with his players. He's intentional in the recruiting process. I think I'm a better football coach and player, because of my time with Frank Wilson. And so I have just tremendous amount of respect for him. I can't think of a better person to step in at LSU, in a place that he cares deeply for that program and that state, and what this means to him. And he'll have that team ready to go. They will be motivated. They'll be ready. They'll be well prepared. And so certainly have a great appreciation for him personally. And obviously he'll have that team ready, and always need to see people that along the line of your path and career have great success, and certainly Frank is one of those.
Go to Katie, second row on the left.
You kind of hit on this next question, but how much more challenging did it make your bye week? You're facing LSU offense with the same players, but maybe with a new play caller. You talked about you have to anticipate, but how did that change things for you prep wise?
Well, it the film is the film, right? And you look at what a team does. That offensive staff came up with a game plan together. I'm sure there were certain things and certain ideas that maybe their offensive coordinator previously had done to what maybe Alex might want to do, but at the same time, they're utilizing their players in a very good way. They have athletes that they can get the football in space. They're finding creative ways in the run game to hit explosive plays, and I know maybe they're not as consistent as they'd like to be in the run game, but they're also very dangerous in the run game because they've created explosive plays in just about every football game. And when they do get out in space with those running backs, they can hit home runs. So, we'll look at, and try to anticipate what we think that they're going to do, maybe that might be slightly different tweaks. We're certainly going to prepare for the things that they have put on film already. And then again, you might carry one or two more things in terms of volume defensively, just if they want to go this direction or that direction. But that's the nice thing about going into week, 9, 10, including bye weeks, right? We have a large volume of defense that we can go and adjust to based off of whatever we're seeing in that week's game plan.
Go to Colin, front left.
Okay, what have you seen, I guess, throughout the month of October from Dijon Lee? You got a lot more playing time. How does he progress? What other steps do you want to see?
Yeah, I think Dijon, young players, right, in big moments, some of it is just overcoming the moment. And I think, think about Dijon. I mean, the very first play of his college career, right, against Florida State, he gives up a big bomb, you know, you see some guys that can wreck them for weeks on end, and he just went right back to work and has made plays on deep balls downfield, has made plays on situational downs for us. I think he's very physical in his presence in the run game. I think, you know, he's continuing to just sharpen his tools in terms of what he's doing fundamentally. He has a much better understanding of what we're doing schematically. He's a great communicator for a freshman out there on the field. I think he does a really good job communicating with the linebackers and safeties out there. And so he is taking the steps in the right direction that you would want for a young starting corner to take.
Let's go to Theo on the far left.
Coach, we've seen some big moments out of Janze, making the most out of his opportunity. We talk about his growth these past couple weeks, and then what do you think we can expect out of him as Russo works his way back onto the field for you?
Yeah, I think Janze is taking steps in the right direction, and just becoming a more consistent football player down in and down out. You know, obviously you see some of the production in the passing game and his ability to affect the quarterback. But in large part, you know, you look at the Tennessee game, his sacks were because he was doing his job. When you just do your job consistently at a high level, you're going to create more production for yourself. And so it's fun to watch Janze and the maturity and that he has, how he has grown over, you know, the last year and a half, 2 years here that I've spent with him. And he's got a very impressive skill set. And you know, it's always you watch a guy when they do their job more consistently and they're rewarded through production, there's a confidence that you start seeing a player play with, and I think you're seeing that from Janze right now in terms of the confidence that he is starting to play with. There's a confidence in a number of our guys that we're starting to see. And I told our players that's an earned confidence. You've earned that confidence to overcome adversity, to go create production, to go do your job at a high level, and we got to continue to see that. And then certainly, you know, I think you asked a question about Quay Russo. Quay's doing a really good job right now. Our training staff has done a tremendous job with him and preparing him to get back as soon as possible, and he has done a great job of pushing and is hitting all the markers he needs to hit, and certainly we anticipate him to be back sooner than later.
All right, finish up with Joe, right in the middle there.
Coach, what do you see in Garrett Nussmeier, and particularly how difficult is it to defend him in the RPO game with what they've been doing lately?
Yeah, you know, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of like how efficient they are in the RPO game. You know, the perimeter screens, the throws downfield, and the vertical, you know, slant glance game as well is an extension of their run game. And so sometimes you look at it and you go, well, you know, they're only running the ball for this. Yeah, but they're doing certain things in the run game that are opening up things in the passing game, the RPO game, right? And so, you know, those are things that he is navigating them really well. He's making really good decisions in terms of handing the run off or throwing the RPO based off of the numbers that he's seeing in the box or the rotations and leverages that he's seeing right now. And he, you know, you can tell he's very confident in knowing where to go with the ball, and that's allowing them to be pretty efficient offensively.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Okay, thanks guys, roll tide.